When Enfield launched back in January, it got plenty of criticism. The gacha system requires you to do some mental gymnastics with its guaranteed pity and hidden soft pity, and this was one of the major criticisms of the game, and you cannot go one day on the subreddit without encountering a post that either hates it or praises it. Now, I'm not here to talk about the gacha system because that's a topic that has been talked about exhaustively. I want to talk about the other thing Hypergriff is known for, and that is the story. Hypergriff wrote many great stories in Arknights, and some of my favorites are Lone Trail and Babel. After reading the 1.0 story, it seems that Hypergriff repeated the same mistakes as they did with Arknights in the early years. The mistake was that the game has a forgettable introductory story. There was so much glazing on the administrator and a lack of clear goal on the landbreakers. The story did improve a little bit starting from the Wuling arc, and this difference in quality might be due to the entire Wuling arc underwent a full rewrite between Beta 1 and Beta 2. Some rewrites were also done to the Valley 4 arc, and that resulted in a very patchy story. So, you are excited to finally play Enfield, but your PC or laptop is struggling to run it. Don't worry, there is another way of playing Enfield. That is through Mumu Player. Mumu Player features a customizable key mapping so you can arrange your controls to feel like you're playing on native PC. Mumu Player is also well optimized, and I'm getting a stable high frame rate with zero lag. There's also a multi-instance feature, so if you are the king of multitasking, you can complete your dailies from multiple gacha games at the same time. Mumu Player is free and there's no ads. If you want to try it for yourself, I've left a download link in the description below. Thank you Mumu Player for collaborating with me. Before I review Tang Tang's story, I'll do a quick summary of what happened. Obviously, I will talk about spoilers, so a massive spoiler warning if you haven't played the event yet. Anyway, let's get into it. The 1.1 story features our beloved Supreme Chief Tang Tang and her brother Ruan Yi. Ruan Yi held a grudge towards the Tianshi because they killed his father, who was involved in a scuffle for trying to raid a Wuling supply convoy in order to feed the stockade people. His revenge was fueled further as Ardashir weaponizes the stockaders' hatred towards the Tianshi, and the tension got really high to the point where the stockade was on the brink of civil war. Ruan Yi decided to go on rampage mode, becoming the boss of the event, taking the form of a giant bull. This action took a toll on his life, and he unfortunately succumbed to his injuries and left behind a horn. The normal, cheerful, and energetic Tang Tang was depressed for a few days, and we couldn't even contact her during that period. The second half of this event, after the boss battle, has a completely different mood. Tang Tang sneaked into Wuling City while the admin ran errands for her. The admin spent some time with Tang Tang afterwards, bought her a Chabilong balloon, and had a bit of hot pot. Then admin and Tang Tang had a chat with Chuang Fang Yi, and Tang Tang requested that all detained stockaders to be released and promised that the stockade residents would not cause more troubles like what just happened. Tang Tang's story is a great improvement from 1.0. The stakes were higher and the consequences were greater. At first, it's easy to point the blame on Ruan Yi's and Tang Tang's father for raiding a supply convoy, but there's more nuance in there. Jingbo Stockade and Wuling City have a long, shaky history. I can see why their father did what he did. The stockade residents were struggling back then and mostly have been neglected by Wuling City. Stealing from supply convoys seems to be the most reliable way to feed the community, but on that day something went terribly wrong and their father was killed. Of course, the Wuling convoy's reaction to fight back is justified because nobody likes to get their shit stolen. This is the point where I started to see Hypergriff's strength in writing, just like they do in Arknights, where the conflict is not pure black and white. It reminded me of the conflict between Reunion and Rhodes Island and their approach to solve the infected discrimination. And moving on to Ruan Yi, his death did not feel as impactful as I thought. We barely knew him and his presence in the event is barely enough for me to really care about him. Yes, we have some backstory on Ruan Yi, but they are mostly incomplete, and therefore my impression of him is that he's the type of person who is stuck in the past. However, his death affected Tang Tang in a major way and caused her to shut herself for a few days, which greatly showcased how much she cares for her brother. The pacing of the story also seen some improvements. It feels slower and more deliberate. It could have been better if we get to know more about Ruan Yi to allow people to have some emotional investment in him. Meanwhile, the Wuling City part of the story is a nice change of pace after the intense battle, but it needs more polish. It feels like the story was put together in a rush and there was less care put into it. It's not too bad that it changes my impression of the story as a whole, but because of how rushed it feels, it had a negative impact on the ending and it makes it more forgettable. Hey guys, just a quick announcement before I end the video. I now have a Discord server, so if you want to hang out and discuss things about Arknights and anything related to that, head down to the description and you'll find the Discord invite link. I'll see you there. Back to the video. So, has the story improved? Yes. Is it on the same level as Arknights? Not yet. However, if Hypergriff maintains this nuanced storytelling with complex characters and deeper lore, I believe that Endfield can have the same writing quality as Arknights. And I want new players to be able to experience the amazing stories that Hypergriff can cook up both in Arknights and Endfield. Tang Tang's story only covers the first half of the 1.1 patch. We still have Rosie, who will be released in a few days as of recording, and I'm hoping that her story will be equally as good, or if not better, than Tang Tang. And I hope that Hypergriff will take into account our feedback on how to improve the story in future patches. Thanks for listening to my short rant on the 1.1 patch and Tang Tang's event. I have heard from my friends that they enjoy this new story and it feels a lot better than 1.0, and I fully agree with what they're saying. We're gonna have to wait for a while until we see another peak fiction storytelling by Hypergriff, and I'm willing to wait for that to happen, no matter how long it will take for them to reach that point. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Share in the comments below what you think of Tang Tang's story and the first half of 1.1, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!